What's a secret your significant other still doesn't know about you, and why have you kept it secret? My wife had her drink on the floor one evening while sitting on the couch watching Netflix. She took a drink and immediately spit it out. A bug had gotten in her glass and she almost swallowed it. I immediately grabbed the drink, told her it's just a little moth, and while I disposed of the drink ruiner she gagged profusely and rinsed her mouth out. All bugs freak her out. Thankfully she was soon mostly over it, since it was such a small moth. We'll never tell her it was a pretty good sized cockroach. About 8 years ago I discovered my wife's sister's Reddit account accidentally. It was a variation of a username she'd used for AIM before, but with different numbers and no underscore. The numbers were a significant date to her though. There were too many coincidences in her posts for it not to be her. She was posting on the relationship advice subreddit. Her now ex-husband was abusive. We'd known something was off about him, but couldn't really put our finger on it. I created another account that I only accessed from incognito mode to send her encouragement to leave and to ask her family or friends, but kinda steered her towards us for help. She didn't want to impose or be a burden on any of them. We'd just had a kid and I make a bunch of money, but we live well within our means, so you wouldn't think this based on appearances, so it was an understandable concern. I slowly, over several weeks and several different posts she made, convinced her that it's possible her family realizes something isn't quite right and would not consider it a burden to help her out. After their divorce I deleted that account. Nobody will ever know that the random internet stranger who was weirdly persistent in encouraging myself to reach out to her family for help and leave her abusive marriage was actually me. This is the most wholesome thing I've read in a very long time. Thank you for giving her support without being cavalier about it afterwards. I inherited a few million from my mother, who died when I was a child. I've mostly left it alone because there wasn't anything I wanted that I couldn't just get with some elbow grease. Once my so and I are at the cusp of doing the house and kids thing, I will let him know so he can stop worrying about earning enough to put a down payment on a new home. When going to the store one day, my so asked me last second to take our 3Y/O daughter. I was already in the car, so my so strapped her in. She was oddly quiet the whole car ride, and I accidentally went in the store without her because of it. I remembered after being in the store only about 45 seconds, but immediately left the store to get her. I was so embarrassed someone would notice, so I went to a completely different store. Now it scares the sh out of me, and even when I know I don't have one of my kids I always check behind me before getting out of the car. One of the worst feelings I've ever had, and even now I get sick to my stomach thinking about it. Sometimes when I make his favorite homemade chicken tenders, I use mayo in the dredge before I flour it. He would literally keel over and die if I told him this. It would ruin his favorite dinner. We both effing hate mayo, but damn if it doesn't make a good dredge. OMG, I can relate. My husband absolutely hates mayo with a passion. Every once in a blue moon I'll use it on the chicken because yum. One day my 5-year-old was in the kitchen while making dinner and was absolutely shocked watching me use the mayo because daddy hates mayonnaise. Now I've accidentally passed down the dark secret of the forbidden mayonnaise to her, and I think it's hilarious. One time my partner and I were low on eggs and we needed a dredge. I said to him, get me the mayo, it has eggs in it. So that's how we discovered that mayo is a better, easier, and exactly portionable dredge compared to the eggs. He doesn't like mayo in any other situation, but the dredge is fine because he does the dishes, and using mayo means one fewer dish. Just how bad my past relationships were. I have given him surface level accounts of my past, but the actual details are so painful for me that I can't find the words for it all. Also, just telling him the bare minimum caused noticeable pain on his face. I think the full truth would leave a sizable amount of pain in his heart. I don't need him to know the details or feel any form of pity for me. I just need him to know that he makes me feel beautiful, safe, loved and special, and how grateful I really am to finally have someone who wants to show me how beautiful life really is and can be. My girlfriend has a rough past. She's told me parts, and I ask from time to time because I want to know, and sure enough each time it hurts to hear because there's nothing I could have done, and that someone would hurt someone so intelligent and beautiful and kind just makes me sad. Anyway, even though she doesn't give me the details and I stopped asking, I appreciate what you said. That's given me more peace in a paragraph than anything else has. I recently downloaded Reddit because my so was always on it and was always showing me memes, dog videos and content I liked. Since I liked his Reddit feed / the content he was showing me, I subscribed to a lot of the same subreddits as him. However, I now see all the content I like on my own account. I check Reddit fairly often, and I've begun to realize that all the memes, videos, etc. he sends me, I've already seen it. I know how much it sucks when someone says I've seen that already. So, every time he shows me some content I've already seen, I always pretend like I've never seen it before. It makes him really happy when he shows me something and smile, find it funny, etc. I know he browses this subreddit sometimes, so hopefully he doesn't see my comment. I started out doing the same thing, but I hated lying to him. So I unsubscribed from the main subreddit he sends me stuff from. I still get to surf Reddit, and he still gets to surprise me with things from r/aww. In a former life I used to be quite the podhead. I had a life-altering experience and completely changed my lifestyle literally days before I met my wife. I also drive a limo part-time. She knows all of this. What she doesn't know is that a few years ago someone left a joint in my limo. It was full, and I was burning leaves in the backyard. I made a point to make the burning last past her going to bed, and then really burned the leaves. It's the only time in the last 16 years that I've been high, and I absolutely loved it. I made a dent in our garage door one time while trying to park a little too close to it. It also left a huge scratch on the door and my car's bumper. My husband never found out. He notices everything, but for some reason he never noticed the bump on the garage door. We sold that house recently, and I thought for sure he'd see it and I'd have to fess up, but nope. It's been 5 years since that incident, and I think I'll take that story with me to the grave. He knows, he just didn't want the fight. Guys notice everything about their house and cars. Decided this is not the hill to die on. My crazy heart issues that I saw the doctor for in high school ended up being horrific anxiety. In my defense, I had no idea anxiety could do things to your body or brain at the time. I just thought my being nervous was because my heart was effed up, not vice versa. I stopped hyperventilating to the point of passing out around age 17, and around 19 found out the reasons why, but I've never specifically gone back and said, oh hey, remember those palpitations I used to have? They were my dumb brain. If we ever have kids, I'll probably have to tell him in the course of medical history, etc. Alright, strap yourselves in, this is my time to shine. One night I decided I wanted to take a sick day the next day and play some Doom. I had been freshly dating my then current fiance and didn't want her to think I was lazy, so I told her I had an upset stomach too. At the time, the company I worked for sick leave policy was that you rang up, spoke to a registered nurse, they gave some advice, and logged your absence. It was pretty good, to be honest. Well, as you can imagine, I wanted to sell the lie, so I rang. Told them I wasn't well and specifically had a stomach ache. She asked some questions like which side is it on, how bad is it out of 10, etc. I answered coincidentally with whatever side my appendix was on. You might be able to get this going. They said I should monitor it and call back in an hour and let them know how I'm feeling. So I did this. I rang back, said I still wasn't well, and the pain had increased. This led to a shocked nurse who I happened to have on speakerphone at the time tell me to go to the hospital. My appendix was playing up. My sir heard and insisted she take me to the hospital. I didn't want to tell her I was lying, so off we go to the hospital. We get to the hospital and she does most of the talking whilst I play it cool, telling them it's no biggie. They rush me in through emergency, take some blood tests, and tell me that they'll prep me for surgery. At this point I started to question myself and realized I should have come clean at home. But now it's too late. I'm in too deep. Strap in Mitchell Scarnsroot, we are going for surgery. I stay overnight, get healthy dose of painkillers and watch The Shield all night. Then the next day they cut me open. I remember asking the surgeon as he talks me through what's about to happen if there's a chance of me dying. He says probably not, but the chance is never zero. Fast forward to the next day, I don't have an appendix and my adventure To get one day off work results in me getting a week off work. My partner and I have been together for 4 years and she will never know. I had a YouTube channel that I don't really update anymore. It was growing pretty well, but then I saw the end of the line for advertising revenue. By the last year I had record growth in terms of views and subs, but my bottom line was still the same. It ended up being too much work to keep up instead of, well, work. It still was enough to keep us afloat while I was struggling to start my other business. We even had some excess to the point where YouTube revenue paid for family vacations. I still stream on Twitch from time to time, but more just for speedrunning etc. She doesn't know about that either. It's just a hobby now, and I make no revenue from it. She knows I play games obviously, but she doesn't know to what extent I have shared my gameplay. I just don't feel like going into it. I don't have any friends that I'm still in touch with who play games, so it's the closest I can get to sharing experiences with other gamers. Please like and subscribe for more Reddit videos.